Here we are again. Welcome back. Another episode. My Point Is podcast. AJ, Jihad, Tobias is not with us today. Let's just get right into it. College football week 1. Absolute bangers. We had a few of them. Start off with big plot points. I think Ohio State takes out Texas. Florida State upsets Bama. LSU walks into Death Valley and claims the name for themselves in their own stadium. And Belichick gets his ass handed to him in the opening game of his college career. So Jihad, how do you feel about the excuse me? How do you feel about week 1 of the college football season, especially being an LSU fan?
I think me personally, I couldn't have had a better weekend. With LSU walking out or when we'll get to that a little later. But we're back, man. We're back. College football is back. It started out strong, with Florida State storming the field week 1. Like this is awesome. We had Kansas State almost losing to what was it, North Dakota? Like what the hell, man? This is like that game literally went down to the last 40 seconds. It's crazy, man. It's gonna be a hell of a year.
Yes, it is. We had some absolute bangers, a couple of upsets, some lower tier schools. It's week 1, so it's always interesting. You got teams paying millions of dollars to get a nice tune up game, and, they might think it's an easy ride, but when you leave it all out there on the field, it's always fun to see if we get any crazy upsets week 1. And I wouldn't say it's to the term of FCS or a mid-tier beating the high D1 school, but Florida State over Alabama. Sheesh, is Bama dead? Is the Bama dynasty officially over?
And so I've said it. I said last year, I'm not a strong believer in Kalen DeBoer. I get it. I get that, you kind of gotta recruit your players and kind of taking out filling Nick Saban's shoes is something no man wants, right? You can't be them. You can't. But, you know, the tide is gonna start to turn, on him pretty fast. I already hear like a lot of people calling for his job, and it took Nick Saban 158 games, I believe, to lose 4 games. It's took, pretty much Kalen DeBoer
A
one
season.
season.
A season to lose 5, yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's so, Bama fans aren't used to this, but hey, you're getting a little taste of reality of what the rest of college football has to. So, yeah, I think Bama is burning.
And I mean, obviously, Bama, they've been good for a while and they were good back in the day, but there was a time period where Bama was considered not one of the beast of the SEC. So for any Bama fan who probably is younger or bandwagon or anything of that sort, yeah, they've only known success. But
Right.
but yeah, so that's for any older Bama fan, I'm sure like they're used to the success, but this is definitely not. But to
Correct.
any younger
Yeah.
Bama fan for sure, this is unheard of territory.
And Bama also had, the legendary Bear Bryant as a coach as well. So, Bama, they have spurts, you know what I mean? So they get legendary coaches and it's a while. Granted, Nick Saban said himself he should have never left LSU, so Bama wouldn't have been as great as they were, but he did. It happened. And he made, the dynasty kind of come back and that is an insane run. And I don't think we'll ever see a run like that in college football, at least in our lifetime. But it's very
Mm,
possible.
NIL,
It's very possible.
NIL transfer
Well,
portal. That's never happening
yeah,
ever again.
that may never happen. I agree.
The
But
closest the closest thing we have to that is what George is doing right now.
yeah,
that's about it. Because
yeah.
Georgia's been on a run since like 2018, 2019, and
Right.
it's gone through the COVID era, through the transfer portal era. I think Georgia's probably the last true dynasty, if you want to call it, where they, no matter what, every year they will
That's fair.
have a real like obviously all these top tier schools they'll always have a chance, but
Right.
in the term of like a Bama where hey, Georgia is always going to be four, top five, no matter what. I think they're like the last school we'll ever see of that
Right.
sort.
I agree. But
But
I will say Tommy Castellano calling his shot in June, saying, Saban's not there to save you. He put himself out there and he backed it up. He
yeah,
had a hell of a game. Tommy Castellano, I mean, I know it's week one, but he was good at Boston College last year. You kind of gotta start looking at him for he could potentially, be a Heisman candidate. His QBR this week was 83.6. So that puts him around 20th in the country right now. Granted, week one, but he's a dog. He's a dog. I'm really excited. Florida State, they have a decent schedule. They're gonna have to go play Clemson. They're gonna have to go play Miami, and they're gonna have to see Florida. So they have a legitimate shot now to really prove that last year was a fluke, and you just needed that to happen, kind of to get back on track. So I'm really excited for that team. They're a fun team to watch.
because me in the last pod, me and Tobias talked about it. The one thing I said about Florida State is you never know what Florida State you're gonna get. The years they're and I said this. I said the years they're projected to be terrible to be good, they're terrible. And the years they're projected to be terrible, that's the year that they always come out of nowhere and surprise everybody.
Right.
And what do they do week one? And I completely didn't even remember that TC transferred there and that they hired Gus Malzahn as the OC.
Yeah.
Had I thought about that, I definitely probably would have rethought my decision because looking back, 13 points, I think that was a crazy
Yeah,
give
that was a
to that's a
absurd number.
that's a crazy number. If I if you just think of just looking at it at face value, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then you really look into it and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that probably was a misclick on. I think that was a misread by the books for week
Yeah.
one
They just
because
weren't sure, They still think Bama's Bama, and Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. The
no,
values and the what he instilled, is not necessarily there anymore. I'm just being real. I think Bama is in for a rude awakening. And sorry, if you're a Tide fan, you know, Bama's burning.
yeah.
You going down with the ship, or are you jumping ship?
I feel I'm assuming most of them are probably gonna any of the new age definitely they're not gonna be there for they're gonna go into hiding maybe for a couple of
Y-
years.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I'm very I knowing that Gus Malzahn he's only the offensive coordinator for Florida State with Tommy Castle. Obviously, he's not Cam Newton, but the last time Gus Malzahn had a really true, we know what he did with Cam Newton. We know what he did at UCF with Mackenzie. What was his name? What was his name? UCF quarterback. Well, when Gus was there,
Drawing a blank right now.
Mackenzie something. Mackenzie Milton. That was his name.
Okay.
That was his name. Dude had no business being as good as he was in college. But you know, that's the Gus effect. Especially now as he's only OC. I think Florida State's offense might be one of the best because I remember catching a couple Boston College games last year, and I remember watching Castellanos. I'm like, yeah, this dude is too good to be playing for Boston College.
Hey man, he knew what he was doing. The transfer portal was good to him, and Mike Norvell saved his job. That's kind of the last thing I got for this game. But he saved his job, and he put the fire that probably he had on his seat, and kind of handed it over to Kalen DeBoer. DeBoer has to have a couple signature wins, or else ass is grass, and he'll be out of Tuscaloosa very soon.
yeah. And the point, yeah, Norvell giving up OC duties, hiring Malzahn, and then turning into more of a Harbaugh, you know, Dabo type of coach, where it's just motivational, get the boys ready
Going.
together.
Yeah.
I think that's a very smart decision. Speaking of Dabo, that boy Dabo, LSU man.
I mean, hey, I've been, this is my team, so I follow them ever since the Baylor Bowl and Nuss saying he's coming back and Harold Perkins is coming back and Whit Weeks is a monster and his brother giving up his red shirt pretty much if he had to last year, um you know, but LSU kind of looked out for him and said, no, we'll like you back for another year. We're not going to play you um, at the end of the season last year. And so he got to come back. So I think they have the best linebacking core in the nation. And this game proved it. Um, I believe Clemson had 21 or 22 rushes for 32 yards. That defense was amazing. They rushed for 12 yards in the second half. Like that is an elite defense. Um, I would this team is a national championship built team. I think the offense is only gonna get better. Um, Trades Green is a monster. I said this last year, and we had Mason Taylor, but I wish Trades Green was used more than he was just in the red zone. As you can see, Terrell, he's going to be a first round draft pick. He's the brother of AJ Terrell, and he just made him look like a little boy on a jump ball. LSU is a bandwagon, and I also think Clemson. Their defense wasn't bad. TJ Parker, they got Edwards. They have some guys, man. They have some guys, and I believe Cade will bounce back, and them losing the receiver early, Williams, it hurt them. So you kind of got to take this one with a little grain of salt, but what a hell of a game, man. What a hell of a game. And I think Brian Kelly also saved his job. Had he lost this one, I don't think he made it to week 3 against Florida. So that's that. So that was just a good game, and like I said, I think they're both playoff teams, but I think LSU proved they're a step ahead of them. Oh, one last thing, that Barry and Brown touchdown was a touchdown. So the refs, we need to, see if they need surgery. Um, Someone find them, a eye doctor. I don't know what the hell they were looking. The replay booth.
Dude, if you
They
watched
they all
if
need
you
to be
watched
fired.
if you watched enough games this weekend, honestly, yeah, it definitely was a catch. But in terms of how the refs were calling catches all weekend, it really wasn't a catch because the amount of times I saw a play like that exactly happen, and the amount of times the refs called it incomplete, they called it incomplete every time.
Yeah,
They would never call a completed pass on any game I watched this weekend where it was a situation like that. They called it incomplete every single time, no matter what. So
eh,
I think it was a catch, but I feel like they were. I feel like it must have been a memo like, hey, let's just we're just gonna roll these no catches across the board and not even have to deal with conflict. So if that is the case, that's
yeah.
great.
No,
It is what
I
it
I,
is.
I completely I can hear where you're coming from on that. I agree. A lot of it was wishy washy. Maybe the refs just needed a tune up. Hey, it's week 1. It's week 1. Championships
I
are
wouldn't
won
even
in week
call it
1. So
I wouldn't even call it wishy washy because a lot of the times it really was like, yo, that's clearly a catch, and they just kept calling them no catches, and like it was a pattern I reckon. I swear it was literally in every game. It's like no catch, incomplete, no catch. I'm like, I guess that's how they're doing it this season.
yeah, it is what it is.
And then Sunday we had the South Carolina, um,
Virginia
Virginia
Tech.
Tech, the Beamer Bowl.
That was a masterclass of the game as well. I felt like very early it was such a good game. South Carolina definitely kind of took over in the second half, but for most of that game, Virginia Tech was right there. So they're gonna be, one of those on the border teams, in the ACC that can shake shit up. Lenore Sellers is everything we thought he was. I heard a comparison of him that I kind of like. He's a mobile Big Ben, you know. He's a mobile Big Ben, and I truly believe that he has the arm. He's only getting smarter. He's a true sophomore, so this guy is gonna be a powerhouse. Another Heisman candidate, I think, is if their defense, you know, continue to play as strong. Um, Shane Beamer keeps these guys fire lit under their ass. I think that they can really make some noise in the SEC.
Yeah, that's why that was the first half. Yeah, Virginia Tech good defensive battle, but yeah, the second half, South Carolina showed why they were right on the edge of the playoff last year. They showed that there's just there's a few different levels to it. Yeah, Virginia Tech definitely they're gonna be a border border top 25 team be in that mix. I feel like, but yeah, South Carolina showed why they were the first team out last season, right? They were the first team
Yeah,
out.
yeah, I believe so.
And then, at that night game, Notre
Uh,
Dame, Miami, Catholics, Convicts, 2025 edition.
yeah, you know, Miami kind of got out to a lead. The fucking ridiculous catch by CJ Daniels, who
Uh,
was an
that
LSU
catch,
receiver.
that catch was a game. That catch was the entire. That catch was a game.
Yeah, like that was nuts. I put that up there with the Odell catch. I do. That shit
I
was
put it
nuts.
above you though. We were talking, and
Wow.
it was a college game. Dude, that was dude. That
Yeah,
was
no,
the greatest
sick.
catch of all time. That was the greatest
Yeah,
catch
that was
of.
sick.
I don't
That
care
was
what
sick.
that was the greatest catch of all time, and it was honestly low key, really nonchalant, just
Yeah,
out of nowhere. Like you didn't even really expect it. And I remember when I seen that ball go in the air, I said interception. I said the real Carson Beck is back. And that man CJ Daniels saved Carson Beck from being a meme
yeah,
again
absolutely.
because he was one he if he doesn't make that catch, everybody's saying the same thing. Oh, look at Carson Beck throwing another interception when his team has a chance to score and ruining the game. Big surprise.
And
He would have never beat those allegations, but that man's Daniel said, "I got you, I got you."
and if that play isn't made and that is an interception,
That's what I'm
maybe
saying, dude.
Notre Dame goes on to win that game. So
I
so
think they do
that
100%.
touchdown, makes it from 27 to 24, from 20 to 24. So um it's just it's wild, it's nuts. CJ Carr, for Notre Dame, he looked really good, even in the loss. So Notre Dame has some bright spots, but they gotta get Jeremiah Smith. I mean, oh, sorry, not Jeremiah Love. They gotta get Jeremiah Love going.
Yeah, I don't know if he was. Yeah, I don't know if he was hurt or something. Like they were talking about it. Brian, dude was. I don't know what the. I don't know what the. Because they were. It was a weird offensive game plan. Like they were moving the ball at some time points, and then they would just go away from what was working, and then they
Yeah,
would go back to it, and then they would go. And I was very confused watching their offense because there were points where I'm like, hey, this is the Notre Dame offense that was just in the national championship,
yeah,
and then other times, and then and then their defense just didn't make. That was the big thing that they did last season. Their defense it was obviously a solid defense. As an overall defense, I didn't think that they were like crazy, but I think they made way more plays than anybody else last year, and they just didn't make any plays like big time game changing plays, and that's what they did a lot of the time last season, capitalize off of those moments.
right.
And I don't know where Jaden Greathouse was. I think they must have just forgot that he existed on the team.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll give Notre Dame, outgoing won the assistant coach of the year, the Broyles Award, which is, top assistant coach. So he left, to go join the Cincinnati Bengals. So, your scheme changes a little bit. You're bringing in a new DC. I believe he took the Bengals job in July, maybe. Or maybe he got hired. No, I'm sorry. He got hired a little earlier. Maybe like April, around the draft, he got hired. So, you know, spring ball, you're a little behind. You're coming out, you're facing, an electric team in Miami, you know, um, Carson Beck and those guys. So I'll cut him a little bit of slack, but Jeremiah Love had 10 carries for 33 yards. That's unacceptable. I'm not understanding why he's not touching the ball at 15,
How
16.
many receptions did he have? Like,
He had
how many
he had
touches in total?
he touched the ball 14 times.
That's terrible. Yeah, that's absolutely terrible.
You
That's
gotta
terrible.
get your best
He
player the
he
ball.
needs to be touching the ball 20 plus times in a game like
20
that.
plus times
In
minimum.
a game like that, 20 plus times, or else, yeah,
Minimum.
you're not.
So
Yeah, maybe even that if he doesn't make that crazy catch, and yeah, I think then they have a chance. Get to run the ball more. That maybe he gets a few touches. I think that game completely changes. But yeah, that's why that catch
uh,
to me is the greatest catch of all time because it was an Odell catch, except he jumped about what 12 inches off the ground. It floated for about 4.5 yards. Might have reached back farther than Odell and made
yeah.
the catch in between two
Yeah, that
defenders
was nuts, man. That was nuts.
on an absolute. And Odell's catch, the throw really wasn't even that bad. He was just getting like dragged down, and that was the only way he could make the catch. That throw
Absolutely.
was so bad. That throw was so bad.
Yeah.
He just say, and that was. All right, and then last college game of the weekend, or yeah, North
Yep.
Carolina, TCU. He's not here, but Tobias called it out. He said that North Carolina was probably going to get their shit steamrolled, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean, I've also seen this coming. When you're coming into college, like Bill Belichick is, you can have all the hype around you. You can have all that, recruiting is a thing. You're not going to quite, I guess you can say like the transfer portal is like free agency. But, if I'm a top tier guy, I'm going to establish coach who's continued to build, build, build. Bill Belichick is just getting there, and yes, he can help you, but you don't have the team around you to compete for a national championship. They just don't have the talent, right? They just don't. So in years to come, maybe year 4, year 5, if he stays that long, you know, maybe they can compete, but just right now they don't have the guys. They don't. Um, this year with his first full year being able to recruit and all of that, it's a possibility.
I don't
With a
see.
full transfer portal, it's a possibility. I just don't see it anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who expected them to win a national championship this year is just dumb. I think
Yeah.
that's just dumb to expect that he would revamp the entire roster and then just come in and win a national championship. I think that's just a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Or if that was your thought, then I got a bridge to sell you over a river in Arizona because that's crazy. But I think that they have the talent that's like I think they're gonna be good by the end of the year. I think that yeah, that first game definitely that first drive they look solid. Then I think TCU settled in. But
Yep.
truthfully, I no disrespect that North Carolina quarter, he has to play better because that was just
Not good enough, man. Just not good enough yet.
I don't even think that was good. I don't even think that would have been good enough to beat some FCS teams.
I cut the
Not
game
gonna lie.
off after the
Oh
first
yeah,
quarter. It
I
was
cut
bad.
that after that second interception. That's when I cut it off. After that
Yeah,
second, because that
I
second
didn't.
interception. That's when I texted you after that second interception, and I said I didn't know who played worse, the Alabama QB or the North Carolina QB, because that
Yeah.
throw on that second interception, it might have been worse than Carson Peck's throw.
Yeah, oh man, it was just so bad. So bad. I just don't have much about that team. Kudos to TCU. I will be watching them because,
Yeah, but I don't.
maybe they can do something in the Big 12, but
I mean, the Big 12 is a crapshoot every year, so anybody can come out of that conference. North
yeah,
Carolina, let's see how they are at the end of the year.
right.
So let's move on. We
M-
got let's move on. We got a new top 25 ranking this week. And bang, right here, front and center. Moving up to number one, obviously, Ohio State. Staying at two, Penn State, who absolutely mollywopped Nevada this weekend. That was a quick 40 something point spread, and I'm pretty sure they covered.
Yeah, they did cover.
LSU moves up to three, definitely deserved. Georgia, like we said, Georgia will be. I think Georgia will probably be at, unless they lose a game or one of these three teams ahead of them. I think Georgia might stay at 4 the entire year. I
can see it.
I truthfully think Georgia might just stay at 4 the entire season. Maybe move up to 3, but unless Ohio State and Penn State mess up the rest of the year, or LSU messes up the rest of the year, I don't see Georgia going any higher.
No, for sure.
Miami at 5. Yeah. I think that's I still don't, I'm still not truthfully all bought in on Miami. I think 5 still might be a little bit high. Their defense is definitely improved tremendously, but I'm still not completely sold on them. Like I said, that catch was a game changer. Without that catch, who knows how that game turns out.
Right. I mean, I got a couple concerns for the top 25, but I'll just wait till we get through it and then just hit the important ones.
Oregon is 6, 100%. Texas at 7. I think that's a valid spot for them. Take where LSU was at 7 before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good flip. I think that's a good flip.
No, Bama was 7. Bama was 7, I believe.
Bama, yeah, okay. Regardless, I think the top 10. I think the top 10 makes a lot of sense. I don't think
Clemson 8, Notre Dame 9, South Carolina 10. I think that's perfect. I think those are the 10 best teams in college football.
Me too, 100%. I don't think anybody could argue with that. I really don't think you could argue with the order of the top 10 either. I think it's actually a perfect order in the top 10.
Correct.
So move outside the top 10. Illinois is at 11. Boys, the Illini make some noise. You go back a couple seasons and you'd say, hey, Illinois would be a top 12 team in the country. I think Illinois fans probably would have been like, yeah, you're absolutely crazy. But, I think, what? They're in the Big 10.
10, yeah.
They're in the West though, right?
I believe.
Okay, so I think they should have an easier schedule than if they were in. I just want to see, because this might be a team to look out for this year, honestly. If they have, let's see what their schedule is real quick. Okay, they got a couple. They got Indiana. They do got OSU. That'll be a tough one. But other than that, they don't have too crazy of a schedule. So, hey, Illinois might walk out of this year with with maybe 1 or 2 losses. And if that's the case, I could definitely see them staying in this top 12.
Yeah.
Arizona State, I think that's A-State, they're solid. Yeah. Florida State 13. Florida 13. Florida State moves from unranked to 14, which I think is 100% valid. And I think if we see some faltering in this top 10 with some losses, I think Florida State might end up in there by the end of the season as well.
Yes, very possible.
Michigan, always there. Iowa State, SMU, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. It's only week 1, so I think it's hard to go outside.
Yeah, you can't really.
I think
too much.
I think it's for the first week. I think this is a pretty solid top 25.
I do. Bama dropped to 21. You got Tennessee at 22, Indiana 23, Texas Tech 24, and Utah 25. So I do have a couple concerns, like
Before
Sam Levitt.
I only have one concern. I don't know how Bama's still even in here. I don't even know how Bama's. I just noticed that. I don't even know how Bama's still even in here. They shouldn't even be nowhere near this top 25. But yeah.
My thing is, Tennessee, they played a good team in Syracuse. Syracuse is a good team,
Very
and they
solid team.
won. They won. Why are they behind Alabama? I don't understand that. That's where my problem is. Um,
I
USF,
I
I
agree
think, was
100%.
really good. USF deserved to be, I would say, the 2015. They received some votes, um, or even TCU. I would
I
understand
100,
getting in
yeah, I think we're in agreement. Definitely kick Alabama out, move everybody up, throw in USF or TCU at 25. I
because
think
it's mind-boggling to me. But this does set up, like, I do believe most of the teams that are in the top 25 will stay. Um, excuse me. Um, it's gonna set up for some great games though. Miami has to play Florida and Florida State, and they're the number 5 team right now. They're gonna have to play 13 and 14.
which is
You
why,
know,
yeah. So I think, and me personally, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to see Florida, so not
DJ
to say
Lagway looks good. He,
he
he
does
looks
okay,
really good.
but I think Florida State definitely has a really good chance to beat Miami. A really good chance to beat Miami.
It's gonna be a hell of a game. Don't be surprised if College Game Day, makes their way to that game. I believe it's in Tallahassee too. They haven't been there in a while. It's gonna be electric, man. I'm excited. Um, like I said, the top
As long
10
as
is
both teams
fine.
keep winning, they'll be there. As long as both teams keep winning, they'll definitely be
Yeah, the top 10 is fine. I have, no problems. Maybe you could switch the order around a little bit, but it doesn't bother me at all. You know, um, Florida's gonna get tested week 3. They have to play LSU. Game day, I'm like 95% sure is gonna be there. This week,
there. They're in Oklahoma.
this is my game. I mean, this is my game of the week. Michigan,
I got
Michigan
it.
and Oklahoma. Yeah,
Got it right there.
that's gonna be a huge one. That's gonna be a huge one. You know, you got
It's the only
you got
top
Bryce Underwood, you
only
got
top
John
25
Mateer.
matchup we got this week.
Um, I was not impressed with Michigan's defense this week. And you're gonna have a team where they're gonna throw the ball all over the yard. So, Michigan, I hope you're ready, and I hope Bryce Underwood, I hope you're ready to, you know, run with the best of them because Oklahoma's gonna give them a game. I will not be surprised if Oklahoma knocks them off. I won't. Um, but we're gonna find a lot about what Michigan is. Um, we also got Iowa and Iowa State this week. I think that's gonna be a great game. I think it's a in-state rivalry. It's just it means a little bit more. They're gonna go after each other. You know, um, Rocco, the quarterback for Iowa State. He played good against Kansas State. He had another solid week this week. He's stringing together good games, and I don't know, man. It's gonna be a hell of a game. I haven't
I
seen
said it
much
after
from
week one.
Iowa.
Rocco
No,
sleeper pick. Rocco sleeper pick.
I just
But
don't
I
have
say
a
keep
lot
winning.
on Iowa right now. So, but I know that's always a physical
Man,
game.
Iowa's Iowa. They're gonna
Yeah,
play
they're
defense.
gonna
They're
be
gonna
hard
punt the
nosed.
ball.
Yeah.
This game is gonna have a unless obviously the only chance there is for real scoring is if Iowa State scores. If
Hmm.
not, this game is probably gonna end up normally like it does in an 18-6. Iowa
Yeah.
State wins. But obviously it's a rivalry game in state. Iowa hasn't really been good at a couple. So yeah, this game, you know, looking at this, I really don't think after this weekend the top 25 is going to change much. South Carolina
Right.
versus South Carolina State, that could be a good one. Another in-state. Anytime it's in-state or a rivalry game, something can go.
Yeah.
Illinois versus Duke. That's a good game. That's a good game. Duke is
Yeah, it
Duke
could be
is
interesting.
Duke is sneaky. Duke is sneaky. They have been, especially
Yeah.
in this new era. They've always been somewhat sneaky in football wise.
Right. I mean, I just think,
Arizona State versus Mississippi State. That could be a good one.
no, Arizona State is going to walk over
Oh, yeah.
Mississippi
Okay.
State.
But
Mississippi State got lucky. You pay whoever you pay to come in and kick the shot of them to make your players feel good. Great, because I don't see them winning more than 4 games this year. So there's that.
So is that Florida versus USF or South Florida?
It's USF. That's gonna be a
Okay,
good
that's a
one.
banger.
That's
That's a
yeah. I'm gonna see that. Watching that quarterback battle is. I just think USF won't. They don't have the offensive line to keep up with Florida's defensive line, and Florida's athletes are just a better. They're just better. But anything can happen. So I'm excited for that game as well.
that's a banger. You got SMU, Baylor, Ole Miss, Kentucky.
Yeah, that's we're gonna see what Ole Miss is made out of. Kentucky isn't strong, but I can see Kentucky, putting up a game and
SEC is the SEC. Every week's a battle,
yeah.
no matter what.
Speaking of really fast, Diego Pavia still looks good, and I would be a little worried if you got Vanderbilt on your schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, after last season, I don't. I think people should definitely finally understand. Yeah, Vanderbilt's not. This ain't your grandpa's Vandy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it is not. It is not. Also, just really fast, hit this, then we can kind of finish up with the games this week. But Georgia Tech looked good, Louisville, obviously South Florida. I'm just, man, there's a lot of good teams. I mean, week one, everyone wasn't playing, the toughest guys, but they're making the right reads. They're fast. The offense is humming, or the defense is keeping up with the offense, and there's just a lot of just the transfer portal has made this era of football very even, right? So you still have your top tier teams being top tier, but I wouldn't be shocked if you know USF goes on a run and wins the American, or TCU rolls through the Big 12, and they find their way in the playoffs, or Arizona. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. So, um, I'm excited. I'm excited.
So, anything else you wanna before we get out of here?
N-
I'm just looking
No,
at
not
these.
really. Just
See if there's any underdog things we might. Maybe we could.
I don't really
Look
have
at
too
this.
much. I mean, maybe Friday we'll give some picks or something, but I just don't. I'm not necessarily. I would like to throw that I believe that Tennessee was bold and they actually got to upgrade at quarterback. Joey Aguilar looks great and Nico did not. So, uh,
What
Utah kicked the
what are the
shit out of
betting
them.
odds right
So, I
now?
just,
Look at
yeah,
that. Look at
I'm
that. Look at
wow.
LSU. Look at that right there.
The odds are crazy.
That is 1100.
If they beat Florida week 3, I would not be shocked if they're above
If they
Ohio
beat
State.
Florida, if they beat Florida, this moves to 500. This changes to 500 if they beat Florida.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If they start the year 3-0, they move. I don't think they move up to Ohio State. They definitely move above Texas.
Oh, definitely above Texas. But
But
I think Ohio
like I
State
said,
moves
Georgia.
up
The
too.
fact that Georgia's still just right.
Yeah.
Georgia's like no matter what,
Kirby's the
Georgia.
man now.
Everything is gonna happen, and Georgia's just gonna sit right there, no matter what. All year, Georgia's gonna always be there. Which I think
Absolutely.
is I enjoy Georgia. I like the brand of football that they
Oh,
play.
oh wait. We almost forgot. We didn't really talk about Texas Ohio State.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean
really
yeah,
really
true. Let's
really fast. I just want to say, eh, Ohio State shocked me. I did not expect the defense still to be that good. I know they still have Caleb Downs, but they lost Jack Sawyer. They lost a couple guys, in the interior. But they are still strong. They stopped Texas. Texas went for it a lot, and Ohio State answered almost every time. Arch didn't look that well. He did decent, but he did not look amazing. So with that being said, that game, the Red River rivalry, will be an amazing game. I don't think they have this, crazy. They're gonna have this crazy, I guess, aura that everyone's expecting them to have. They look very average. So
I
something's got to give.
so in my opinion, I don't. I think Ohio State's defense really is just. I think their defense is just that good, especially the back end of their defense.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think Texas is going to face another defense as good as Ohio State the rest of the year. I think Ohio State really has probably top. Unless does Texas have to face LSU?
No, they don't. They don't play
Okay,
them this year.
then I don't. If they don't have to face LSU or Penn State, then or Georgia, do they have to face Georgia this year?
Don't think. I think they do get Georgia. I think they have to go on the road to Georgia.
Okay, then other than that, I don't think they're going to face a defense as good as Ohio State. And I think that last drive that we saw from Arch, that's the real
Yeah,
Arch Man.
that was a good. That was a good.
That's the real Arch Manning. It took him the whole game, and then they finally opened it up and let him, air it
Yeah,
out, get the tempo
the
moving a little
playbook
bit.
was very watered down.
But
They
once
do
they
play
upped the tempo,
Florida.
once they upped the tempo and started moving, that's the. I think that's the first game, and obviously he didn't perform to what everybody said, even to what
Yeah,
I thought. But I think
it was
like
hard.
if you really look at that game, you see the signs. You see the
Yeah,
signs. You see the plays, and that last drive was if obviously Ohio State, they get a first, obviously end the game, but you know Texas they make that run at the end. They make that run at the end, and like I was
yeah,
saying, I said
they were still in it very
the
much.
throws that Arch was missing by the end of the season, he's not missing those. He's not
Oh
going to
no,
be
for
missing
sure,
those
for
throws. He
sure.
won't. He won't be missing those throws by the end of the season.
Totally agree.
Other than
I
that,
think that takes
anything
cares of everything. No, I'm all set. I'm excited for week two. That Michigan Oklahoma game I will be watching very tightly because I think they're both on the fringe type of teams. So maybe the winner of that has a shot at the playoffs, and the loser, sadly, you're gonna take another loss somewhere. So maybe two.
looking
I
at
don't
these
think they get in.
rankings, yeah, if Michigan loses to Oklahoma, if Michigan loses Oklahoma, and I think Michigan probably drops down to around 23, 24.
I would see them out of the top 25.
I think it just depends on the rest of people below them.
Yeah,
Because if some other teams lose below them, then I think that they sneak their way staying in. But
yeah,
yeah, definitely. If either of these teams mollywops the other, they're definitely out of there.
yeah,
They're definitely out of there.
for sure.
But other than that, yeah, week 2 college football is looking. We got a couple bangers. I'll pull it up one more time. Got some big games. Not some big games, but some low key. If you really watch
Could
football,
be interesting.
if you really watch football and you enjoy football, there's a couple of games this weekend for you that are true football matchups. Illinois, Duke, Florida, USF, Michigan, Oklahoma, Iowa State, Iowa, SMU, Baylor, Ole Miss, Kentucky. Those games right there. If you're a real football watcher, tune into those games and you'll get some good football. But other than
Absolutely.
that, I think we're in a good for a college football season, and it's leading right up into the real meat and potatoes, baby. NFL Week 1. We'll have another. We'll hop back on here a couple of days, get into that. But man, dear God, I've been waiting. Obviously, I love
Yeah,
football. College football is cool, but that's your thing. I'm here for
yeah, I'm
the.
excited.
I'm here for
Ready
the
for the
real. I'm here for
NFL.
the real. I'm here for the real thing.
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
All right. Other than that, follow the Instagram, follow the TikTok, follow us on social media, or don't. I don't care. He doesn't care. Definitely follow the pod. Other than that, what is what I said the same? What have I said the last? You said something. Whatever. Be good. Go Bills. Oh, what I said? Fuck the Jets. Fuck the Patriots. Fuck the Dolphins. Go Bills. Yeah.
Hey, man. Sure.